here's the good news out of Arizona. We not only have more Republican voters left who have not voted yet, but we have significantly more high propensity Republican voters left. Ladies and gentlemen, we are officially 24 hours away from election night in America, and we already have a key race alert for you. But first, I'm going to plug it. We will be live tomorrow night on election night, giving you wall-to-wall coverage of the results, the analysis, everything you're going to possibly need right here on this channel. We will also be live tonight on Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern time to do a little preview stream of what we're going to see tomorrow. So folks, do us a big favor. Make sure you are subscribed with your notifications on. You're not going to want to miss this. This is our political Super Bowl. If you're new to the channel, never been a better time to lock in right now. Hit that red button and join us on Tuesday, November 5th. And with that said, what is the key race alert I already have for you? Well, the results, obviously, in terms of the actual margins from this election are not yet available, and they will not be until polls close in the respective states. But what we are already seeing and been talking about for a couple weeks now is that early voting data, which we don't know necessarily which candidate each person voted for, but we do know the party registration and we can measure demographics. And guys, the Trump campaign just released this memo showing that Democrats are facing a huge issue when it comes to turnout in all of the battleground states. And this is across the board. You're seeing drop off in urban turnout compared to what it was back in 2020. And this is also important. Female turnout. We've heard a lot of buzz for the past, basically entire election cycle about how Kamala Harris will win because women are going to turn out in huge margins. They're going to be pissed off about abortion. They're going to do it. And look, I have always, guys, acknowledged that that is a possibility, right? Yes, if she wins, she's not going to win certainly because of the economy or opportunity economy. No, that's not the reason she's going to win. Not going to win because of immigration. Not even really going to be able to rely on the black vote. I didn't necessarily think that was true because Trump, especially among black men, enjoys pretty record popularity for a Republican in modern history. But this abortion issue, the Project 2025 stuff, we've always known that's probably Kamala's best path to victory. And it is possible, yes, still, and this is why you cannot get complacent, that she may be able to deliver because of that. But so far, that is not what we are seeing. And I'll read this for you right here because I know the screen might be kind of hard to see. So this is what the Trump campaign leadership team is saying. With early voting closed and election day on the horizon, Democrats are facing a massive turnout deficit. In every single battleground state, we see President Trump and Republicans outperforming elections in absentee ballots and early votes cast. So keep that in mind. We're not talking about the polls. As I've said in the past couple of days here, the polls do not matter anymore. What matters is the votes in those ballot boxes. And what you're seeing is, as we dive deeper into the data, Democrats are facing a precipitous decline in urban turnout according to their own data experts, and we are tracking an uptick in rural turnout, right? So common sense, guys. Urban turnout is down from what it was in 2020. Rural turnout is up. What does that spell? Generic Republican victory, especially true for Donald Trump in some of those Midwestern states, but really across the country. Obama's former campaign manager, Jim Messina, said on MSNBC that the early vote numbers are a little scary, right? This is Obama's former campaign manager, obvious Democrat. What Mr. Messina is downplaying is they are a lot scarier for Democrats. According to NBC News, President Donald J. Trump has a 16-point lead in people who plan to vote on election day, and that's obviously very big. Republicans, there's been this question of, okay, with us embracing early voting, are we potentially cannibalizing our own turnout? Well, still, we're finding, right? At least according to polling, and yes, this is polling in this case, so this is something you cannot get complacent. We have to make sure actually happens. But 16 points among voters who are going to vote on election day, that is a Trump sweep, guys, of the battleground states when you compare that to where the early voting margins currently are. Obama's chief campaign strategist and CNN political commentator David Axelrod told CNN there are no guarantees that voters will turn out on election day for Vice President Kamala Harris. So what they're basically saying is at this point, when it comes to the early votes and mail-in votes, which Democrats historically rely on to carry them over the finish line, they're not where they need to be. And so what they're hoping for, what they're banking on potentially happening is low propensity Democrat voters will suddenly show up on election day. The low propensity Republican voters, and sometimes high propensity as well, will not show up on election day. And that'll somehow provide a miracle for them, which in reality, realistically, are Democrats going to be able to win or make it very close in the election day vote when we know that is something that favors Republicans in our modern system? Well, ultimately, we'll have to see, but not something I think if you're a Democrat, you got to be feeling really good at the current moment. Democrats are spinning themselves and reporters by claiming that their voters will turn out on election day when the polls show otherwise. And again, 16-point lead for Trump on election day. A lot of polls are showing that, some said as little as 8, 16, 20, whatever. But the point is, do they really think these voters are going to show up? Or is it just simply the case there is a drop-off in enthusiasm for Kamala Harris? President Donald J. Trump is going into election day stronger than he has in any previous election. And if patriots across the country keep the momentum and turn out as expected on election day, which you need to do, if you've not voted yet, make sure you vote tomorrow. We will be swearing in President Trump in January. But you don't need to take our word for it. According to Democrat data expert of Target Smart right here, in Arizona, urban turnout is down 385,000 votes compared to 2020. Female turnout is down 170,000 votes compared to 2020. Rural turnout, this is very interesting, is up 14,000 votes compared to 2020. So mathematically, and you already see a pretty decent lead for us in Georgia. Where's the votes, right? Arizona was very close in 2020. Where are the votes that Kamala Harris is going to need that Joe Biden got? Interesting question. In Georgia, urban turnout is down 150,000. Female turnout is down 46,000. Rural turnout is up 171,000 votes compared to 2020. That is a lot. In Michigan, they are down in urban areas 321,000. Females are down 204,000. Rural turnout is up 55,000. And they go down the list. Guys, this is a trend we are seeing in virtually every single swing state, in North Carolina, in Nevada, in Pennsylvania, in Wisconsin. The universal trend in the battleground states, because some of these, the rural turnout is about the same as what it was back in 20, but that's big, right? Urban turnout has dropped off from 2020, and female turnout, which we've been hearing so much about, also dropped off from 2020. The point, guys, is this. If the people who have not voted yet for Trump show up on election day like we are thinking and like we are hoping is going to happen, especially the men, right? By the margins, women have outvoted men so far in this election. They prefer the early voting, and this is the point I made about people who are maybe freaking out about this. I said, guys, look, it is important. Yeah, we need to make sure all the men go out there and vote. Young men, old men, all the men, okay? Because they favor Trump by a decent margin there. But at the same time, I wouldn't freak out about it. Because look at any shopping mall on Christmas Eve. Who's entirely in the line? Who's all in the mall? It's men. We love to wait till the last minute. We need deadlines for some reason. I don't know. Maybe we get a rush out of doing it. Like, I early voted just last Friday, November 1st, and I had 2 weeks to do it. This is just kind of the way we all seem to operate. But what are we seeing from that election day vote? And, is it going to show up with the polls, the data so far? It's not guaranteed, but is seeming to indicate that. We just showed you what the Trump campaign said about it. But Charlie Kirk and Turning Point Action is doing a lot of great work with the ground game in this election cycle. He said that our team is crunching the numbers here in Arizona. Here's the good news out of Arizona. We not only have more Republican voters left who have not voted yet, but we have significantly more high propensity Republican voters left. So what does high propensity mean for people who don't know the big words there? That means you're more likely to vote. You're more engaged in politics. And, historically, they're the more reliable voters. Well, that is meaning the people left who need to vote are probably the hardcore MAGA people who still prefer election day voting. They want to do it in person on the actual election day. And if they're still out there and if they're going to show up on Tuesday, it's a done deal, right? Donald Trump will be your next president. Again, don't get complacent because that has to happen. These are still variables we're not exactly sure about, but it's indicating again that it's looking very good because already before election day, Republicans in Arizona have a 190,000 vote advantage in early voting with more meat left on the bone, right? More likely voters still out there for us than the Democrats. If we show up Tuesday, we win Arizona. And by the way, guys, that is true of every single state. And what are you seeing again on the flip side for the Democrats? Low enthusiasm. Apparently in Florida, it's being reported, and Florida is not going to be a swing state, but this is a trend you're seeing with the black community across the country. So today in Florida, they did, or I should say on November 3rd, on Sunday, they did Souls to the Polls, which is, this whole thing about black turnout. It's basically supposed to be a ballot harvesting mechanism for Kamala Harris. And it was an uncontested statewide day for Democrats because early voting had already closed in a lot of the Republican areas. It's only open in the Democrat areas. Guess how much votes they netted on the Republicans with this big project? Only 25,000 votes in mostly deep blue counties, and the red areas were not voting. Okay, so you may be asking, how much is that? What is that net to us now? Well, statewide, it is now down, I know, massively to 850,000 vote lead for Republicans, aka they are up by 10.5%. And this is not just a Florida trend. You are seeing a drop-off in black turnout in all of the battleground states where the black vote is a significant portion of the electorate. We're showing you those numbers there with urban turnout. What does that have to do a lot with black turnout? And it's not just black people, but there are a lot of black voters, right, in the inner cities, and they're down. Their turnout is down. Where is it? Where is it gone? You can speculate on that. I mean, I think there is a lack of enthusiasm for Kamala Harris. I think a lot of black voters and even just historical Democrats in general this time around are just not as enthused with the current state of things. Maybe to some degree, I would speculate on this, but there is a drop off in the resistance energy, right? Like, people are so tired of screaming Trump is a fascist for 8 years that this time around, like, are they really going to get pumped up to go vote against him like in 2020 or 2016? Well, again, you're not seeing that. So you can speculate, but we're not seeing that. So guys, the point here is this. If we're already in a good position. If all of you who have not voted yet, make sure you go get it done tomorrow. Okay, no shame. Just do it tomorrow. Make sure it's in there. There is virtually no way that Donald Trump loses the presidency. Do your part. Go vote tomorrow. It's looking very good. Forget the polls. Forget the media. Forget Trump this, Trump that. You see where we are in terms of the actual voting totals. Very close to the finish line. All you got to do is do your part. Go vote tomorrow. And with that, I have faith in it. I think we're going to do this. All right. Well, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comment section down below. Again, be sure to join us live tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern time for the preview stream and live tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern time for the election night mega stream. I'll see you guys later. Until next time, God bless and peace.